the whole deal. I get into selling Oxycontin, snorting it. I guess within a week, I'm fully addicted, physically and mentally. Published a book, Life on Life's Terms. By the grace of God, it went #1 new release on Amazon.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Good morning, everybody. Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Good afternoon to my guest, John Mendonca. He's in New York. Jonathan's written a book. I know that he has the same recovery date as me. Jonathan's recovery date's the 3rd of the 3rd, 19, and mine's the 3rd of the 3rd, 86. That just means that I'm old. But Jonathan, welcome to The Truth About Addiction, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Grateful to be on.
So, Jonathan, please tell us your story and talk about your book and talk about your recovery and your experience, strength, and hope, my friend.
Definitely. My recovery date, sobriety date, March 3rd, 2019. I grew up in Connecticut, a town, state, like 45 minutes from New York City. And I had my younger brother in my life, both my parents. And, I was big into baseball, God, church. I grew up in a Catholic church, and life was pretty simple. When I was 13, I had my first traumatic incident and, lost one of my friend's dads, watched him pass away in front of us as we were playing paintball in the woods. He had a massive heart attack. Kind of lost faith, got off track, and, never prayed again from there. Really, resented life and God. And then, things go on. Things started to happen in high school. I always had great grades, great morals, and my parents raised me and my brother the right way. After that, I grew a lot of anger. That was kind of the first part of my addiction. If someone said something I didn't like, or my parents didn't let me do something I wanted to do, I put my head through the door, cause a scene, and then I was introduced. And other things went on. I got hurt a couple times, ruptured my spleen in my freshman year of high school, near-death experience. Well, they were worried I could die. And just things like that. I felt like life was coming for me. And, it wasn't John's plan, so I wasn't happy. I just wanted to play for the Yankees and go to college and make a lot of money and help my family. Excuse me. And I got introduced to alcohol, marijuana in high school. Right off the bat, it was not well. It was a feeling I was looking for. It quieted the noise. I didn't have the fears anymore. I didn't have the insecurities. And the only problem with that was that the anger would come out and it'd get like messy. So I knew like it felt good, but it didn't work fully in my life. Fast forward to the end of high school, I get introduced to opiates, and I get into the whole deal. I get into selling Oxycontin, snorting it. I guess within a week, I'm fully addicted, physically and mentally, to opiates. And I go through my 20s like that. And I go into Percocet, and I always said I would never do heroin. I started doing heroin. And, all the lies. My parents, my brother pulled away and got arrested a bunch of times, DUIs, possession, everything that comes with it. And I've tried a couple rehabs. I really never took to it fully. I just went and got in shape and put my weight back on and got some color in my face, and then went back. And then finally, the last time, things were terrible, and I really wanted to give up. And I was finally honest about I need help. After getting arrested for the last time, my lungs were failing due to heroin. I couldn't walk without my lungs wheezing. Drinking, using cocaine, crack, anything. Found my way to rehab, found my way to 12 steps, got out, got a sponsor, got sober, did this 11 steps, and never went back to opiates. That was 2018. After stayed sober 7 months, my whole life basically got better. When it's time for a 12 step to help other people, I was like, okay, it's time to get money, find a girl to marry. I'm 28, I'm behind the 8 ball, and stopped going to meetings, never helped anyone, and relapsed with drinking cocaine for a year. Knew what worked, so I went back and I learned my lesson the hard way. I said, okay, now I understand. I could just do it again. When I get to step 12, it's helped people for the rest of my life. And that worked for me. That was my sobriety date, March 3rd, 2019. stayed sober. A year after my a couple days after my year celebration anniversary, COVID hit, the world shut down. So I kind of felt again like life was pushing against me. But I did Zoom meetings from home. I chaired them
Yeah.
for my main meeting. I chaired it for a year. I chaired Zoom meetings for rehabs and detoxes. I just knew it was about helping other people and bettering myself day to day. In the middle of COVID, I lost 3 friends to overdose in a week and felt relapse coming. My grief was a little too much. So I started getting a little shaky, reached out to my sponsor and said, what do I do? And he's like, help other people. So on a run, I thought about it and it hit me. And, God kind of struck me with the idea of social media. Like, yeah, we're all stuck at home, but I could connect to a lot of people and share hope in my story. So I started posting and I call it Get Lifted, mentally, spiritually, physically. And people are just dropping, at least, I mean, all over the US at least, but definitely in my town for opiates. Like every couple of days, someone I went to high school with, or someone's brother, someone took, people are taking their own life, alcohol. So I just posted and said, I'm Jonathan. I'm an alcoholic and addict. I'm recovered. I'm sober over a year. I'm tired of posting rest in peace posts. If you need help, just reach out. There's hope. And it took off and it did well. And that went great. I started a little clothing brand from it. I posted Monday motivations. Just tried to share my sober journey and show people it's possible. I would share little snippets of like I spoke at this rehab tonight, just things that people understand. And in July 2021, my brother started to struggle mentally, and he opened up a couple times, and he was drinking a little too much, and he said he had some stuff going on like depression, anxiety, and woke up one morning to the cops at my house and said that sadly at 4 o'clock in the morning, drinking, fighting with his girlfriend, he took his own life. Um, and I felt that earth-shattering pain again of like, what do we do now? So just did my Get Lifted program. I got on my knees, I prayed after my parents and I got settled. I asked God to keep me sober for my family, and through the 12 steps, I learned it's not all about me. So I understand it. Like I needed to be there for my family this time, and my amends. I did get to make amends to him, and the blessing of sobriety was that he played on my softball team for 2 years. We hung out all the time with the Yankee games, so I got to make that amends and build that relationship before I lost him. Took that next year. I stopped posting. I stopped. I didn't have much to sell at that point. In hope, I was recovering like myself emotionally. Took a year and then published a book, Life on Life's Terms. This is what it looks like. Um, it's my story of just from a kid to today. Everything, it's raw. Everything's in there. It talks about how each step and how I was taught to go through them, how it works for me. It talks about Get Lifted, my daily program. By the grace of God, it went #1 new release on Amazon for the month of December. And here I am today. I mean, there's a lot of things going on now with the book. I started a podcast, Get Lifted on YouTube. I speak at rehabs. I still go to 12-step meetings. Yeah, I mean, my life is blessed. I faced those adversities, but here we are today, and you and me are doing all right. So I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, right. Cool, man. How old are you now?
I just turned 34 in January.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot to push through in 34 years. You got to think about, a lot of stuff that you touched on was the trauma, watching somebody pass away when you were a kid and questioning God. So I understand a lot of people believe these days that addiction is based around trauma. I was traumatized, so I can't argue about that. I can't say it was or it wasn't. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. And I also know that something about trauma is that it's not what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you with trauma. Dr. Gabor Mate talks about it, and a few guys a lot smarter than I am. They might be smarter, but they mightn't know about as much about recovery as I do, to be quite honest. I mean, I've been doing this for 40, my godfather, 43 years. I've been in this recovery deal, I got clean in 1981. I went to my first 12-step meeting in 1977. But I went there to hide from the cops, to be honest. I went to a rehab to hide from the cops, a detox. We never had rehabs those days. We had alcohol centers because, drug addiction wasn't accepted. Really, it wasn't. Even in AA, when I went to 12-step meetings in 1977, I wasn't allowed to share because I was a heroin addict. But it's going to sound a bit weird, but it's a bit of a breath of sunshine for me to be talking to somebody who was an opiate addict and not an ice addict or a coke fiend, because to be quite honest, I was talking to somebody about it last night. I went to a 12-step meeting last night because I still do 12-step meetings. And people say, why do you do 12-step meetings after all these years? I said, to carry a message and to listen to what happens to people that don't go to meetings. There was a guy there last night, just come back from a relapse. And he was fucked. I'm sitting there looking at him and thinking, that's what happens. You don't work the program, the disease works you.
Yeah.
And as you probably know better than I do at the moment, there's this whole movement on the internet coming out of the States, a lot of it. People looking for alternative ways of getting sober instead of 12 steps. And they're starting to put the 12 steps down and say, oh, yeah, but that don't work. And I'm saying, well, how long have you been clean? Yeah. How many decades have you been in this new fad of recovery, and how many years has the 12-step program's been around? And micro dosing 0.222 of a milligram today. And by the end of the week, I'm fucking drinking, locked in a room with the windows closed down and shut down, and probably got a firearm on my lap thinking that they're coming to get me. That's me.
Yeah.
That's the sort of addict I am. Now, the people that, from my learned experience, the people that get clean are the people that surrender and the people that help. First of all, you've got to have humility. That's where surrender is. Then you've got to have purpose. Without purpose, we've got nothing. And we must be of service. As I said, I'm 70 very soon, 70 years of age. And in the old days, Bob Dylan sang a song. He said, you have to serve somebody, whether it be the devil or whether it be the Lord, you have to serve somebody. And I believe I have to be of service. I'm of service every single day. And the more service I give, the better I feel. The more heroin I used, the better I felt. So It's still about me. It's still about me, but it's about me being in a positive way, in a loving, kind, giving way, And to me, that's what my higher power is love, understanding, and forgiveness. And I believe while I'm practicing those principles in my life, I'm doing God's work. And I don't know who God is. Let's be honest, I don't know. I'm not going to question. It's too big of a question. And it's open to too much debate. In the 12 steps, it says, we don't have an opinion on outside issues. I don't care what your religion is, what your sexual identity is, what your creed, like a religion, whatever. Because I came into the 12-step program basically ignorant. People call themselves atheist. I call myself ignorant. I don't know what atheist and Catholic, Jew, blah, blah, blah. But I've dealt in the Jewry trade for 40 years. And that's basically a Jewish industry. And I went to Jerusalem to walk the path of Christ only a few years ago. What an experience. What an incredible experience. I recommend that to anybody. Does it change much in my belief system? Not really. Not really. But as far as recovery is concerned, does it really matter? Not really. Not really. It's like recovery is a really simple thing. If you don't pick up, you can't get stoned. I can use drugs today, but I can't use drugs and have a good life. And it's a choice. I have an allergy to chemicals. You put a chemical in my body, I can no longer guarantee my behavior. That's the first step. The second step tells me if I think I can, I'm mad. And the third step tells me if I'm mad, I need to talk to somebody who's not mad, which is my sponsor. Yeah. And my higher power, but my higher power stopped talking to me when I stopped taking amphetamines. It talks to me through other people,
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, so, I love this program. I'm a very big advocate for 12-step programs. Do I believe it's the only way? No, but it's the only way for me.
Yeah.
You know, I
Definitely.
I get a little bit concerned when I hear people come on the internet these days being master coaches. You know, they've been clean for 3 years or something, and they, join my program, and I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you how to beat this disease. You're no longer an addict or an alcoholic. Like that's a lie. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm addictive and obsessive in everything I do.
Yeah.
I don't have one car. I don't have one watch. I don't have one of anything. I have one life,
Yeah.
and I have one program, and my program is based around the 12-step program, and I'm an incredibly grateful human being first, male second, addict third. So it's important that I keep that in perspective, that I'm a human being. I'm not just an alcoholic addict. I'm a man. I'm not just an alcoholic addict. And I have an affliction to chemicals. But I also have an addictive personality, which is based around being totally self-centered. I become obsessive and I become a compulsive. And once I put a chemical in my body, all bets are off. Simple. So
Yeah.
if I said to you, you can't drink milk, every time you drink milk, your head swells to twice its size, you go, oh shit, I'm not drinking milk.
Yeah.
You sat on it, you can't use drugs. Why? Can't I manage it? Well, can I sip a bit of cream? No. Your head's still going to get big, It doesn't matter what you do, It's simple. It's like, yeah. So your book's basically your life story and your concept of the 12 steps?
Yeah, it's my life story, and then through there, it explains kind of like how I worked on each step and what I got from it, and at the end of each chapter is a lesson.
Oh, cool. Good.
So it's like if it's me, doing amends to my family, then the end of that chapter, the lesson might be like, how amends can help even whether you're an addict or not an addict. So it's supposed to help anyone.
Yeah.
Bring awareness. Like a lot of parents have said it helped them understand
Yeah.
their kids' addiction. A lot of just normal people that aren't addicts are like, wow, like I feel awake now. Like I never thought about this, but it's making me be self-aware and look at myself. Because the biggest thing is why I started Get Lifted is people like friends that were just not addicts or family members just would have different issues. So they just no one ever came to me. I was the issue. So as people
Mm.
started to come to me as if I was enlightened, and they'd be like, oh, this is happening. I don't know what to do. And all I would do is just throw what I've learned from the 12 steps at them, like, inventory it or pray
Yeah.
on it, the most simple stuff. And people come back and be like, man,
Yeah.
it's so much better now.
So deep.
Yeah, and I was like, well, someone else just told me. I didn't come up with it.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, you know what? That's I dedicated the book to my brother, and I was like, it'll just raise awareness, but it'll also raise awareness just on how people can take care of themselves daily. You know,
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I believe, you know, everybody suffers with an addiction of some sort.
yeah,
So I'm still addicted, but I'm addicted to helping people.
yeah,
I'm still
exactly. That's what I try
obsessive.
to do.
Yeah, I'm still obsessive and compulsive. You
Yeah,
know, I obsess. I have clients that I obsess over how I'm going to help them, how I'm going to try to open their mind so that they can grasp a new idea on a closed mind. Because it's so hard to teach somebody something until they're ready. And trying to get them ready is the secret of being a good teacher. Because I don't like the word counselor. On my business card, it says transformation coach. So I'm trying to transform your thinking. Because if I can transform your thinking, I can stop you drinking. Because you think you need to drink. You think that the drinking helps you. So I use the word drinking, but it's
yeah,
all drugs are drugs to me. I don't care what it is. If it's a mood changing chemical, mood mind
yeah,
changing chemical, it's. And also the reason I use drinking is because it's sociably acceptable. I can reach more people. If I talk about opiates, 70% of the people listening to this podcast will shut down
yeah,
because they didn't use them. Probably more.
yeah.
And I was talking to a mate of mine last night, and a guy shared about he was on opiates, and I thought, sounds terrible. Thank God, because I found opiates were a lot less harmful mentally than what the new drugs are. This ice, the crack, and well, fentanyl. I don't know a great deal about. I know I hate it. I've had it when I've been operated on. I think it's the most filthy form of morphine that I've ever tried. And I'm a morphine. I got a black belt in morphine, 7th Dan black belt in morphine. I know all about the poppy. I know all of I went to Thailand. I research everything. Well, I'm an addict. I do thorough research. Years ago, if you showed me where the drug was, I'd tell you where it was made. Oh, that's made in Paris. That's pink rock. That's the reason it turned pink is when they put the hydrochloric acid in, it turned over. I knew all that bullshit, the philosophical bullshit. But what I didn't know was that every time I injected it, I was fucking causing self-harm. Because that's what drug addiction is, self-abuse.
Exactly.
People don't realize that. It's the same as slashing up, but we're slashing up our soul. Because the thing that dies when you use drugs immediately is your soul. You talked about you relapse, you know that. You can have this great life, everything can be going really well. And the minute you put that chemical in your body, you're not physically addicted yet, but you automatically become self-centered, which is the spiritual part of our disease. So your soul just got killed. The first thing, that's what we anesthetize. We anesthetize our soul. And slowly our emotions die, and then our brain dies. And then physically we start to die. But it's a horrible, horrible, horrible disease. And we need to have more people like yourself out there carrying the message. Because I'm getting old. People don't listen to me anymore. Oh, that's not true. People won't relate. The new generation won't relate. Well, that silly old bastard, no. What would he know? They don't understand that I was buying heroin when it was $500 for an ounce, and we were using, drugs that were, we never had customs when I started using drugs. There was no such thing as customs. There's no drug police forces. There's no police force based on drugs. There was no sniffer dogs at the airports. You could walk through the airport with 5 pounds of heroin in your bag and straight through. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, it was what it was. And today the new synthetic drugs are really breaking my heart. When you know yourself, you see someone come into the room that's been on ice, they're twitching and they're locking up, and as soon as you see him, you go, oh fuck, he's an ice head. Oh, she's been smoking crack. Oh, look at him, he's smoking, You pick what the people are using by their physical defects and the harm, the amount of harm that drug addiction is causing to our world. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart as a recovering addict that we can't do more, that our superpower governments don't give a rat's ass. Yeah.
It's sad actually, like you said about that the youth can relate to me and how the government doesn't care. So I'm from like a small town in Connecticut. Like I said, we're like hour, 30 minutes around there to different parts of like New York City. So being a smaller town, a lot of people knew this. I was a dealer, I was an addict, etc. Posting, it affected everyone well. And I go places now, like a grocery store or something, and someone will be like, "Oh, I love your posts. Like my son watches them. You got sober." And it's cool because I see the effect. So I reached out once I published the book and said, that's kind of where my heart's at, because that's where my story and my brother's change was, like high school, like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, around those age. I reached out to my high school and I was like, had a meeting with them. I was like, I'd love to speak to the students. And, they were all about it. They were in tears when they heard my story.
Yeah.
We basically set it all up and like, we'll get back to you on a date. And they just reached back out and they're like, sorry, we just can't fit it in the rest of the year. And I waived the speaking fee for them. I'm like, and I reached out to about 7 schools in the surrounding cities. And I don't think I've heard back from one. And it's sad that it's like such a detrimental disease in the country. And it starts, in the teenage years. And I think it's important for them to hear a story, and even offering for free, they didn't have me. So it's sad that like the government, doesn't do anything to help things like that.
I do with sporting clubs. I've gone and spoke to them and they never invite you back. It's too confronting. It's too confronting. Because I always say it starts at the top of the tree, which is the people that says, yes, you can come and yes, you can't come. And I always say, it's a culture through the whole baseball club, the whole football club. The secretaries are snorting lines of coke on the weekend after they've won. Yeah, motherfuckers, we got that shit. Yeah. And then they're wondering why their star halfback is getting arrested with a baggie with some hooker shaking a baggie and doing a dance, and some idiot on the camera's taking a photo of him.
Yeah.
Starts at the top.
Yeah.
If a company's running crappy, the CEO's to blame. If a
Yeah.
football team's got a culture of drug use in it, guess where it started? At the top, because they're allowing it. They're justifying it, and they're turning a blind eye to it because they're getting results. And the world's about results. And what our job is, yours and mine is to get results by carrying a message of positivity, love, and understanding. You say, hey, that's not cool. See, I'm an ex-criminal gangster. I don't like the word gangster. I shot people. I did all that stuff. Nothing to be proud of, honestly. You can go like that. You can shoot somebody. Big deal.
Yeah.
That's not tough. I tell you what's tough. Going to work for 40 hours a week to put food on the table to put your children through school. That's gangster. Going out in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's freezing cold and getting on a train and catching a train because you ain't got money to put petrol in your car because you're sending your kids to school and making sure they got shoes on their feet. That's gangster. You want to be a tough guy? That's a tough guy, man. Not someone who can shoot somebody or, I spent over 15 years in prison.
Wow.
Is that something to be proud of? No way. It also tells you that I wasn't good at what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. The real criminals never go to jail. The real drug dealers never go to jail. Pharmaceuticals are the biggest drug dealers in the world. Pfizer and all those places, man. The people that are making fentanyl. We found Osama bin Laden in the middle of a desert and we killed him, right? But you can't stop the Chinese from sending fentanyl to Mexico to send it to Australia. I send it to America. Come on. Come on. What, you can't say, okay, this is unacceptable. We're no longer trading with China. Every country, we're no longer China and India, they're the two biggest manufacturers of fentanyl and pseudoephedrine and all those things. Okay, we are no longer trading with your countries until you shut those companies down, until they're under government stipulation. Sure, we need it for medical, but they can be regulated properly in their country. We could make me president. I'll change the shit. And I'm a street kid from Fitzroy. Fitzroy's like the Bronx.
Yeah.
I'm a street kid from the Bronx, man. And I know what's going on. I can change it because I hurt them in their pocket. What's it all about? It's all about pockets. You decriminalize drug use and you smash drug sellers, drug manufacturers. You just crush them. I'm talking about life sentence, bang, mandatory, bang, drug distributors. If anyone brings drugs to the country, life sentence. No chance of parole. See how quickly you think to yourself, like, oh, fuck, is that worth it? Is that really worth it? Should I take the chance of making a couple of $1 million and know that I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life? All of a sudden becomes unattractive. But when you know that, I'm going to get 3 years, he caught 5 kilos, I'm going to get 5 years or some shit, I got sentenced to 18 years prison for smuggling cocaine in recovery. I was 16 years clean. I went back into the old life and we got busted. And I got arrested. I was trying to import, well, it was 30 kilos, but they charged me 12. And I got 18 years. And I sat there and I thought, and I was helping a lot of people, I was doing a lot of good stuff. But I went back for that period of time and I sat in the cell for the next 8 years and I just had a really good, honest, thorough inventory of myself and thought, what did you do right and what did you do wrong? Okay, I carried the 12 steps and I did the program, I did all this stuff. But what I did do was I didn't get a spiritual awakening because I was still a crime, I was still a criminal. I was still involved in organized crime. And then I haven't committed a crime for 20 years and my spiritual awakening has been insane. The last 5 years, I've been out of jail now 12 years. The last 5 years have been just immensely rewarding.
It's amazing.
Nothing's changed financially.
Yeah.
I already had money. I was already a wealthy person. Nothing changed financially. What changed? Spiritually. My life became so full. Like, people say, are you a guy with your cup's half full or your cup's half empty? I'm the guy that's happy he's got a cup.
Yeah.
I don't give a rat's ass, because if I've got a cup, I can choose which way I want it to be.
Yeah.
Before I found a spiritual awakening, I never had a cup. The water just ran through my hands. It's like money. Money from crime just runs through your hands. You don't get to enjoy it. Easy come, easy go. And recovery is the same. Recovery is a battle. This is the gangsterest thing I've ever done. Stayed clean, one day at a time. Helped other people that I don't even like. People I don't even like, I help. And that's hard. In the early days, that was really hard. Because I wanted to pick and choose who I sponsored and who I looked after. And, if it's a sexy young girl, yeah, I look after you. I don't sponsor women, but, I treat women in my program, and I realize the more I treat them, the less I know about them. We're different people. We're different people, but we suffer the same disease. So I still treat the principle of recovery. To me, is the 12 steps, a higher power, and a sponsor. So my message has always been, if you're new to this program or you're coming into a 12-step program, do the steps. It's not a social club. The answers are in the steps. It's called a 12-step program for a reason. It's not called Saturday Night Live. Let's go and hang out and go and have a coffee and maybe get laid. It's a 12-step program for a reason, And as you are really aware, it's a progressive disease. So if it's progressing, you must use the steps to stay in front of it. That's how I try to explain to people. I put it on a board, a whiteboard, and I draw a line and I put the 12 steps. And I say it's a progressive disease. How do you stay in front of something? You keep moving forward. How do you keep moving forward? One step at a time. And that's how I break it down and explain to people. You must continue to work the steps. I had someone say to me last night, do you still do step work? I said, yeah, every year. They go, what do you mean every year? I said, well, I do the 12 steps about every 2 years. I run through the whole 12 steps again. I said, but it's not about you using. I said, I've written about my using for 30 years. About my life. It's about my thinking. I don't write about using. I write about life on life's terms. My defects of character, my shortcomings, my total self-centeredness, But I'm really, really, really I'll get your book. You can buy it on Amazon, can you?
Yes.
I'll find it on Amazon, I'll buy it. I too wrote a book that was behind me. So that Born to the Lie of Crime.
Oh yeah.
It's not
I'll
about
check that out.
recovery. It's not about recovery, but
No.
that's about my life. That finishes in 2002 when I got arrested. That's
Really?
about being brought up in the gangster life as a kid. It talks about recovery. I was 16 years clean. I stopped. That book finishes in 2002 when I'm handcuffed in a police car, being a smart mouth to the coppers. And then the book stops there, and then I'm rewriting the second chapter, which I like the second chapter better, which probably won't do as well because it's not exciting. Like yourself, I try so hard to carry this message to the schools, to youth training centres, like kids' prisons. They don't want to know about me. And yet, they put some football star who's getting arrested snorting coke going out there and having motivational speeches how to play football. Well, wait a minute. How to play football doesn't make you a good human being. It makes you a good sportsman.
Yeah.
I treat a lot of sportsmen. I do. I treat a lot of sportsmen. I treat a lot of footballers and AFL and NRL, and I used to stay in New Jersey. I got a buddy in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a 28-year-old daughter who's alive because I went to New Jersey in 1995. I met a girl in San Francisco in 94. American girl, and she fell pregnant, and I said, no, I don't want any kids. We just met each other. Come on, you need to get a termination. This is not going to work out. And I went from Florida, where I was living, across to New Jersey to hang out with a mate of mine, ex-cop, and he became a tattoo artist. And we're having a chat. He's got this little boy, a 4-year-old boy. He's got a little tattoo, earring in his ear, the long ponytail in the back. Because my buddy's a tattooist. He's got the long ponytail, the tattoo, the earring in his ear. And the little boy's like, "You're sleeping in that room?" And he took, he's a really cute kid. And he's like, "Come and watch Lion King with me." So we watched Lion King about 3 times that weekend, me and this little boy, Mike Jr. And I rang up my ex-wife, and I rang up and said, "Forget about the termination. We're keeping the baby." That's my daughter. She's 29 this year, And whenever I hear about New York, I always think about that trip saved my daughter's life, because I was being selfish, and I thought, I don't want to know about this stuff. I don't want a commitment. I was still a crook those days. I was still living that life, still being a selfish, very small human being. And I believe that. And what you said is one of the most important things. The 12th step of this program is what it's all about. The first 11 steps get you ready to do the 12th. People don't even understand. People don't understand until one of their own die. Then there'll be an outcry. If the president's daughter dies, then there'll be an outcry. How can we fix this?
That's what's starting to happen, is that now they're mixing it with like cocaine and other drugs. So it's not even opiate addicts. It's like, where I live, there was a family that 2 kids that weren't addicts. They went on a bachelor party in Florida, and the best man and the guy that was getting married both died by doing 1 line of cocaine. And it's like, that's murder. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even think you're doing opiates, and you're dying because it's mixed in. My mom's boss, her son smoked 1 joint of weed and died right there because it was laced with fentanyl. It's like they're just.
So I don't get it.
That's not even overdose. It's just murder.
Yeah. As an ex-heroin addict, ex-heroin dealer, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
That doesn't make sense. Well, all the years of dealing heroin, doing it, it's a whole different. People ask me, like, "Do you want to go back?" Well, if I did, it'd be drinking, because like that's just suicide using drugs. Like, I don't want to go back, but honestly, like, I have by the grace of God, because I think yourself, me, anyone before the last few years understand it's a totally different game. I used to call someone out heroin, you got heroin. Now it's like, that's why I think it's important to speak to the youth, because it's like, just because someone tells you it's weed, you don't know what's in it. Just because it's cocaine, you don't know. You could be in a casket in 5 minutes. Like, it's scary.
It's horrifying when you think about it. And I know myself, years ago, I shot up some speed. I think it was heroin. Like, it wasn't as though I'd bought it. I'd buggered it up. I had both. I wasn't quite sure. They were both white powder at that time. And I just remember shooting it up and going, like, "Oh, no, I've shot up the wrong shit." Then I'm banging more heroin to get over the amphetamine. To get down. Because I don't like being up there. I have enough. See, what a lot of people don't understand. And I'll touch on this quickly. Just tell me if you relate. Our makeup as opiate addicts are different to the addict who's an ethidine addict. I shoot up heroin, and I can go up and dance, and I can have eaten, I can have sex, and I can do, to me, that's normal. Where if I shoot up speed, I'm gone. I go into psychosis within a couple of days. Where the speed addict, they can have a shot and go to sleep. I'm talking about a lot of the hardcore ice addicts that I know. And when they withdraw, they just go to sleep for a few days. Where us, we die for 3 or 4 days. The heroin withdrawals were nasty mothers, Oh, man, look, I just hope that you can get out there and keep carrying the message, Jonathan. And I'm really, really grateful that you reached out and wanted to come on the show. Look, man, I'm a funny guy. I don't care how many followers someone's got. I don't care what their story is. If they're carrying a message of recovery, they're welcome on The Truth About Addiction. That's what it's called, The Truth About Addiction. And everybody's story. If we help one person today, we've done a good job. And I'm not sponsored. I pay for all these podcasts out of my own pocket. I'm not saying it to be a good bloke. I'm saying it because my motivation is to carry a message, which is the 12th step, which you touched on at the very beginning of the podcast, which to me, it's all about the 12th step.
Same.
I've
Definitely.
been given a gift, man, and I love what I've got. I got news for you. It gets better.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I'll
heard that
stick
already?
around. Yeah.
You know, the first time I heard that, I thought, oh, shut the fuck up. The
Yeah, me
100th time I
too.
heard that, I thought, oh, shut the fuck up. 38 years later, it's like, oh man, I can't wait, because it's been proven the truth. Every day it gets better for me. Every year my recovery gets better, my life gets better, my thinking gets better, my clarity gets better, my spirituality gets better, my understanding gets better, my serenity gets better. I don't know, a mate of mine, he died at 62 years sober.
Wow.
And he used to say to me all the time, the secret to excuse me, the secret to recovery is acceptance. At
Yeah.
62 years sober, he used to say that to me all the time. He was my grand sponsor. He passed away a couple of years ago. And I believe that's the truth. Accept the things you cannot change, courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Jonathan, thank you very much for coming to the truth about addiction, my friend. I really
No problem.
appreciate your time. Stay in touch, man. If you want to jump on and we can do some lives on Instagram and shit like that, and just talk about recovery. Because the more people we can reach out to, the better our job is, I believe, And for me, I'm obligated to carry the message because I was given a gift.
Exactly. Same here. And I appreciate you having me on. And I'd love to do that. We'll definitely connect and talk and just keep trying to help others,
100%, my friend. All right, Jonathan, from the Truth About Addiction, thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you. God bless.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.